What's going on, everybody? I'm Patrick. I've met a lot of you and we'll be meeting most of you. So as we go through this, let me think other things for me. We'll just go here. So I run a company called POWLAX, and what it's kind of blossomed into is I created a training thing in Boulder, moved down here, coached for a lot of different teams, and then I started making coaching specific videos online that go over complete sets, all kinds of things. I think we're up to 71 videos and a bunch of these PDFs like you see in front of you. So youtube.com/POWLAX, this presentation will be up there. So if you ever want to reference something, I'm going to chop it up. I'm going to put a bunch of different parts in it. And then if you want to download, so the book's very extensive. It's got a lot in it, and it's got massive holes in it too. As I was making it, I felt like I needed to include a lot more. Definitely didn't have the time to include too much more, but there's a lot more information in other PDFs, which if you become a patron on Patreon, you can do that. So basically, if you become a patron, you can download every single PDF I've built. Most of these take me multiple days to build them and then to shoot the video. Yeah, basically that's that. So our objective is to improve our efficiency developing players and get something from top to bottom. So I'm just curious, how many guys played? Sorry, I'm going to have to edit that out. Damn it. Great. And then how many have been coaching for a few years? Sweet. Cool. Awesome. And then so next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a clear picture. Or how many of you guys are like, oh, I got to go to this training thing? I knew you were, Carp. Okay, cool. Well, so I hope that some of you will find some of this information good. Next thing we want to do is we want to find common vocabulary, a bunch of other stuff, but I'm going to go through them. I tend to ramble, so if I start rambling, we got to get through this quick. There's a lot of stuff to go. If you have questions, yeah, you can raise your hand.
Oh, if you start rambling.
Okay. Oh, yeah, and you're supposed to do the time thing, but you don't need to do that. So our objectives, whether you are a second grade, third grade, fourth grade coach, eighth grade coach, is to prepare our kids for the next level. And the main question of that is, for Hawks at least, is are they going to be ready to play in high school, right? And so the only thing that matters when our players get turned over to Coach Menshall and the coaches at Chapla, or some of the who will be coming to CT, or any of the other places around, is what happens when they catch the ball. What do they do in all of these scenarios? Like, so do they catch it? Do they automatically look inside? That's a really good one. What do they do if they beat their man? Are their eyes up? Are they looking forward? Do they always step away? Do they try to turn the corner? What are the things that they are actively doing? And we want to make sure that we are trying to teach as much of these as possible. So now I created this pyramid. This took me like 5 days in and of itself just because I tried to get it as succinct as possible. Here's the way I think of developing lacrosse players. You've got skill drills that you can work on anything you want. Footwork, dodging, any kind of to ground balls, shooting, faking, passing, catching, communication. You can work on these drills. And within these drills, the main thing is that we're working on fundamentals without any decision making. And that's the key. Is a lot of coaches teach so many fundamentals through strictly no decision making that they kind of fall off. So once we get done with some of this stuff and they learn some of the things they'll need to do as they start playing, we can kind of walk them through or simulate what they should do on the field. Then, and this is the big part, our 40% up here, for at least 40% of practices and any time you're together, they should be competing. Whether it's a one-on-one, whether it's a 3v2. And so within these competition games, so I'm just going to read it off the top. So they're odd or even, small-sided games based on team strategy concepts that force read and react situations at gameplay speed using skill drill skills. And so within this, what we're trying to do is we kind of teach it through some simulations. It's just like in, so if you're trying to teach a pick, you kind of show them how to do it, but then you make them do it against each other, so that then they have to actually react to what they're doing. They're not just doing exactly what you said. I'm going to bring up Coach Crosby because we've been communicating quite a bit. But so last year, his main objective with his team was to make sure they could pass and catch. And they could do that flawlessly. But once they caught the ball, they didn't quite understand the idea of dodging. But so there are a bunch of drills and things that I'm going to kind of show you that we can really make sure they're learning the entire game, not just specific skills. We're also going to learn all the skills and all that stuff too. Then once we're done with certain aspects of this, where we're teaching certain aspects and just individual ideas, then we're going to combine them and we're going to create a complete team concept. So, just like I kind of just said, as we put our players into live situations, there's two analogies that I like to say. First is climbing trees. There was a study they did where they brought in these experts of tree climbers, and they had these kids in this classroom. And the expert tree climbers for an entire week, 2 hours a day, for an entire week, got to teach these kids how to climb trees. But they never got to climb a tree. The other group was 2 hours of climbing trees. At the end of that, which kids could climb trees better? Clearly the ones who climb trees. Next one is your push-ups. You can know how to do a push-up, but if you know how to do it, it doesn't matter. And so as coaches, we got to stop talking, let them do it. Just let them do it over and over. Let them screw it up. And as we go through our communication, we're really going to talk about how we want to instruct players as they're playing, so we are not taking time away from them. Next, the problem's Fortnite. Bullshit. The problem's not Fortnite. The problem is how coaches have made lacrosse be. If you go home and you take your kid and you go, first what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we land and we get a scar. And if we don't get a scar, we're going to get something like this. And then you just regiment everything they do in Fortnite. They're never going to want to play Fortnite anymore. Like, drilling sucks. Playing is fun. That's what we've all got to get back to as far as that. But so if you make Fortnite, like a lot of coaches have made lacrosse, we'll pull them away from Fortnite and they'll actually play lacrosse because they'll want to just have fun and go play. So the Sandlot, if you've listened to Jamie Monroe or you understand the Native American players, those players develop by just playing all the time. That's all they do, they play. And they all learn. So who was the most, I don't want to say inspirational, but who took the college lacrosse landscape by storm last year? Nanticoke. Yale, yeah, Yale did really good. But Tahoka Nanticoke, right? With his, between the leg shots and all that stuff. Well, when they interviewed him about when he learned that, he knew everything he can do by 13. Now, for most coaches, they're never going to teach a kid how to wind up face dodge behind the back one-handed, but if we can get more into a play atmosphere, and so you guys can try it, maybe even you guys play 3x with them, we can teach them so they start integrating those skills and they just play. But so the Sandlot is essential. Last thing, games versus drills. As you address your team in practice, if a player comes up to you, hey coach, what are we doing today? If your answer is, we're going to be doing, a few drills, and then, we might get to playing later, but we really got to handle this offense thing. Oh man, drills. But if you're like, hey, we're going to play like 4 or 5 games, and then you're going to actually play the real game, then they're all excited. They really want to do it. And so that's kind of the first part of this. So everything we go through, and we're kind of going to get nitty gritty into skills and some other stuff, is we are going to try and go through everything, which in 2 hours it's going to be a lot. So first thing we're going to cover, like I said, the most important part is our competition drills and games. So, practice games. There's an amazing website called lacrossepracticegames.com by Bart Sullivan. Everyone should write this down. There's some absolutely excellent drills. And so, it's actually page something in your book. So if you have a book, you don't have to write it down. So, these are drills or games that allow the players to play and use concepts they'll use in the actual game without having to drill them on it. So this keep 'em out game, it's basically just an odd or even man game where you set down, if you guys have portable creases, if you fold them once or twice and then you set them down, create a square with cones, and then one team basically passes the ball around. They have to have 2 feet in the circle and they get a point. If the ball goes outside, they pick it up, they can go again. And so for this 4v2, what I like to do is I like to have 2 players waiting outside on the blue team. And if the blue causes a turnover and picks it up, they got to take it outside the square and they come back in with 4. And whoever was involved in losing the ball, the other team has to go 2. But so you play games where they're actually competing against each other a lot. So especially in this game, if the players are just passing the ball around, they might be able to back cut, catch it, step in the crease, and that's awesome. But for the most part, if these kids are just going to be passing the ball around, they're never actually going to score a point. And they want to score a point, and they're going to try as hard as they can to dodge correctly to make sure that happens. This crossfire drill is great because it really works on players getting open. You can work on off-ball picks. But so essentially, we're trying to move the ball from one side to the other by moving the ball into a player in the middle. So they're just moving, freelancing inside, and then once they move it across, that's a point. The players inside are trying to defend them, but so it really works well on off-ball defense. Can you track your guy, and can you make it so he doesn't catch the ball? This is one of my favorites now. I try and do it before each game, but it really gets the players moving. They really just love to play it. Next one, and I'm trying to go through these quick. Rugby. It's just rugby. You run. Oh crap! I'm doubled. You got to turn around. You got to throw it behind you, right? So sounds like a clear, right? But so if you've got a defenseman or a midi who every single time picks up the ball and tries to run up through 8 people, play rugby, because the other team's going to know, okay, I can double him. I don't have to actually defending it in rugby. I don't actually have to worry about anyone going deeper than me, so I don't have to fall back with them. So now 2 of us can double, and they'll have to turn around and go back. And so as they start passing and playing these games, they're learning elements in full speed that they will have to do in a game, but they're actively just playing. Now, so I'll just go over the last one. 3v3 with a feeder. We're talking off-ball movement. The feeders can only hold it for 2 seconds, but now they can work on a bunch of the 3-man motions that we're talking about, that we'll talk about in a little while. Then they can feed the feeder. Feeder can't be guarded, and now they can work on off-ball movement so they can feed it inside. So they're just some ways to kind of spruce up a bunch of stuff. The other things I really like on this is how he does one-on-ones. Rather than doing one-on-ones where you're shooting on a goal because you only have one goalie, set up gates. Or do line one-on-ones, which we'll cover later, which is basically, especially if you're on a football field or you have some lines, you put someone who's going to dodge, you have someone try to defend them, and as I dodge, I have to get back through the line. So I have to turn the corner. Because what do most young guys do? They dodge down the alley, and they just fade to the corner. But if they learn to, and that's the thing, is feeling it. There are multiple players that I see in every game who don't understand the power of their own shoulders. So anytime a player, a dodger, gets their shoulder outside of the hands, the defenseman's beat. The stick can't do anything, right? Like I could have Crosby's kid, Huddy, who's this tall and tiny. I could try and hold him like this. If he's leaning as hard as he can against it, once he gets on that stick, he's coming right through it. But so if we can get them playing through it and doing the right things early through specific drills that make the players train it, it'll help us out. So, okay, other great drills. So ground ball drills. I always do them in multiple locations. We all have multiple coaches, so you should always do ground ball drills in multiple locations. The one I'm going to focus on is our 1v1 ground ball to give and go and dodge. So rather than having players ever pick the ball up and roll it, which you should never do ever, you always have a player pick the ball up, kiss their stick, get to their triple threat position or their ready for position. Never have them roll it again. They're never going to do it in a game. They should never do it. It should also be up, protect, up to pass. But so 1v1 ground balls to even go. They'll pick the ball up, they'll move it to coach, they're going to pop open, accept the ball, and now they have to dodge against that defenseman back through a set of cones. It'll totally make the atmosphere. Ground ball drills are always pretty good, but it just helps to integrate more of the game into a drill you're already doing. Even to odd GBs to goal, and these are all in your book, but even to odd GBs to goal is set up 2 lines, have 2, 3, or 4 people come out for each team, roll the ground ball out, they pick it up, whoever picks it up, another guy from that team can exit, and then you can go to goal. But just some fun ways to do it. West Jenny, does everyone know West Jenny?
No, I've heard already.
No? Okay, so for any of these, and this will be up online too, and we'll post it, make sure you guys know where it is. This stuff, I've got videos on every single one of these things on POWLAX. We're not going to cover them here because we've got too much other stuff to go to because we're going to try and complete an entire lacrosse picture. Okay, now back to this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the skills that we want to use within skill drills. And so the big thing I want to say about skill drills is make them malleable. They should always be able to do multiple things. It doesn't make sense to teach a team one drill and then have to teach a new drill to teach a new concept. Let's use the same drill we always use, but layer in as many concepts as we can. So, defensive skills, on-ball defense. Footwork first. The biggest and most important thing you can say to a kid is run with. Run with. So we've got, I'll just go through it real quick. So direct the dodger. As we approach them, we want to make them go a specific way. Pretty simple. We can do that by C approaching, which is making sure that we take an angle to force them down the side, or we can, if we know them, we can push them to their weak hand, right? So we'll approach their strong hand each time. The first step is always the most important, so a lot of times when we're doing one-on-ones, I like to put 3 players up and throw a ball in so that this player, their first step, if they're in the game, especially if they're off ball and their player receives it, if they take a step the wrong direction, their entire approach is messed up. But they have to know to either push down the side or approach strong hand. So then we've got breakdown to run with, and this is huge. And we'll get to it at the end, but if you haven't told your parents to shut up yet and to cheer but not instruct, do it. Like, I'll call timeouts to go over across the field to yell at parents. I said coaches because I had to yell at Coach Bussey the other day because his son plays for my 8th grade team. And it helps because when the kids learn to hear you and not their parents, they don't have a decision to make. Who do I listen to? Do I listen to coach or do I listen to a parent? And I don't care if you've never coached the game before and you think you're telling the kids wrong things. Make sure the kid doesn't have to decide between one thing or the other. Have the confidence to go tell the parent, at Hawks, you did not sign up to spend your days earning no money to coach kids. So you do not have the right to scream instructions. It'll help out the entire program immensely. So breakdown to run with. The reason I mentioned the whole thing on parents is because I always hear, hit him, hit him. And I'm like, ugh, and you wonder why he lunges. Then we've got under control, back pedal to drop step, stick in hands as you go through, make contact, and then you've got a cross check or a V hold. So don't let your players play like this. Don't ever do it. This at a minimum. And tell them to punch. Use their gloves to punch as they're going. Kids who end up going like this, there's just no leverage there. And they're not going to get called if their hands are here. In high school, they can be here the entire time because they're just bigger, they're able to do it. Most youth players can get away with this. So a V hold is, if you think about this as a V, if a guy comes up and he's dodging, I can hold like this. If I have a short stick, I never V hold. It's always a cross check. So for shorties, you're going to be here. So as we go through it, does anyone have a pole? No? I'll just go through it then. Okay. So as we break down, we want our butt low, sunk down. He should actually be a little lower. Some people say 90 degrees. I don't think you quite have to get there. But your stick should always, the defenseman's stick should always be in front with their bottom hand in their hip pocket, their other hand here, and they should have their stick at the player. And the reason why we're going to do this is because now we can gauge distance for how he's going to attack us. So if I have 6 feet of pole, the other thing about it is I don't have to check when I go out. If my stick is just pointed directly at him and I can just kind of like get into his hands and maybe just not think about my stick but just play him, I can gauge distance, which gives me the ability to react. And now I'm going to backpedal with him. I can drop step, I can run, going back. It's really easy. Approach, breakdown, contact, drive. I didn't really focus on that, but it's the ABCDs of individual defense. The kids will grasp it, they'll understand. Approach, breakdown, contact, drive. Is there a better clock? What time have we got? So we're half an hour through? Okay. Cool. Cross check, hips, not shoulders. Doesn't matter what you say, they're going to get up on the shoulders. The tough thing about it is that as players are playing and they're moving their elbows, a lot of times they're going to ride up. It's just kind of something you have to do, but you can yell hips for sure. So here's just an example. This player is making contact, bumping away, taking another angle and pushing. Now, I wonder if I can pause that. What I want you to notice is these players here. Notice how they don't go play him. So we're not going to play zone. And so as these players kind of react to him, they let him go through. And your players have to understand this. If you're going to slide, you have to communicate. You have to say fire. But most younger players are always going to try to slide to the ball. They just want some action. And they're going to switch automatically. And we don't want them to switch automatically. We have to teach them what they have to do, and we'll show you where we get to that in a little bit. Any questions on on-ball? I flew through that. Usually I do whole explanations and other stuff. Sweet, thank you, Sean. Okay, off-ball defense. Very, very basic. Stance is always the first thing. So I like this terminology, V to C. If I'm adjacent, meaning my player is pretty much within my field of vision, I V my hands and I can see both people. It's just an easy way to say it. Who's got some other things for this? So show guns is my sideways, is to be sideways. And what that is I'm going to be looking at my guy, looking at the ball, and you always use 2-man, 1 ball. And so V to C is more of a, it's not as obtuse of an angle, it's more acute angle, and so I can see both people. But so as I'm doing that, if you yell things like V to C and sideways, it's something that's that you're able to communicate quickly. Wow, I felt like I messed up communicate. Okay, offensive skills. First off, ready for technique. Ready for technique is here. I don't care if it's here, 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 anywhere in this range where I can pass, I can fake, I can face dodge, I can spin move, I can shoot it. Ready for 4 things: passing, catching, or passing, faking, dodging, shooting. And why I like the term ready for, because you could say triple threat, but I like ready for because you're ready for anything, right? And so the kids grasp it. Okay, ready for, I got it. And so what most younger players have trouble with is everyone teaches cradling like this or like this, and they learn to hold their stick here. But if you watch the great players, the great feeders, they're always here, and their stick is quiet. Quiet meaning it doesn't move much. So at any point in time, I can snap my hands over and I can make a feed. And so having that ready for position as a base will really help a lot of players, especially defensemen, because they're going to have their heads up on clears. It just helps with everybody's overall stuff. So I'm going to see if I have each thing. Okay. So then cradling. I always teach it like this, shoulders to shoulders. That way if I'm running, my body is in front of my stick. That's how I'm going. They're automatically going to go to here because that's how everybody plays. It's how they think it's supposed to be done, so they're already going to do it. Teach them in between their shoulders because it's going to help them as they roll. It's going to help them as they do everything else. And so,
Yeah. Real quick, is there a specific age you should teach them to go to just one hand?
Yeah, don't. No, you don't need to. So here's my favorite thing. I wish I had a glove. If I hold my hand against my belly button like this and hold my hand away, you see how the box players do it all the time. If someone hits my hand really hard, my stick barely moves. Right? And so John Grant Jr., Chris Cloutier, they all do this. And they hold in and they engage their defenseman, which eliminates his ability to check them. And now they're here. And even if a stick does come down, they hit here. The other thing they do with this is they can rip through the defenseman's stick by using their elbow. 2 hands on stick, can't be a ward. You can teach one-handed, but I'd almost prefer that you teach it like this with the walk the dog rather than... If you have to teach it like they only like to do this, you can, but it's not essential, and you can teach it any age group. So switching hands, and I'm just going to say it because I'm going to do it like I do it with the kids. Who's Jack Sparrow? He's a pirate, right? What does a pirate do after he's done sword fighting? Throws his sword into his sheath like this. And so you have them do that, they pull it out, they go here. And you get them used to throwing the stick down. Because as they try and do this, they're going to drop the ball. They're going to force the ball out. They're not going to be quick enough. And then what my brother taught me to do was to just go shoulder to shoulder as quick as you can. and to switch, 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 switch. And if you can, hell, you could create a game out of it. How many switches can you get in 60 seconds if you're working with first and second graders? It's really hard with gloves on. Next thing as far as controlling the ball. Do you have your players control the ball here? Can they control it here? Have they ever been asked to do that? Using circle dodging would be a good way to do that. Between the shoulders is basically just how we'd cradle. Any questions on that one? We got to move way faster. So, catching. Have them catch like this first. If you're trying to teach new players who've never played before, go like this, right? Throw them the ball. His hands did the same thing they're going to do with the ball. And all they're going to do is they're going to track it, and they're going to let it hit the stick. And that's a very big key, is they don't want to chase it and snatch it. They want to just let it hit the stick. If their stick does not have a pocket in it, have it restrung. It's a must-have. They have to do it. Then, once they do that, they have to catch it and get it up to throw, instead of always just coming through to here. Now, the best way to teach how to catch and how to pass is quick sticks. And a quick stick does not have to be fast. That's the main thing. Kids think you say quick stick, they think fast. The bottom line is you just want them to get used to accepting the ball and being able to move it. Now, whether it comes over here or not, I want to make sure that I'm accepting the ball, because then I have all my control. Where kids get in trouble is, especially inside, if they start to snap at it and try and go forward and back, they're not going to be as effective. If you watch any of the box players after setting a pick, and this was one thing we did. So if we imagine the goal's over there, let's say I come through, I set a nice up pick, he goes this way, and now I'm slipping to the goal, say I'm a lefty, my stick needs to be in front of me here, and as I catch it, I'm going to come through and accept it, curl my hand, pull it around, take my shot. If I have to accept it and bring it back with the ball facing outward, I'm not as effective as I could be. Yeah, that was that. Okay. And then just another drill I like to have them do is, if you're ever going to do the zigzag drill where you have them run to cones, is just have them get their stick up, spin and roll, stick up again. They've got to get used to having their stick up ready to pass a lot. The cool thing about that I really like is that as a defenseman comes to them, what do they automatically do? They automatically go here all the time, automatically. So if their default becomes here, your team's going to be much faster. They're going to move the ball a lot more efficiently. Okay, so catching. This was one of our little groups. And see how we're just tossing the ball to them here. And this is important for the younger guys, because if you start to play with them, every kid, they duck out of the way. And what do most parents do if you're trying to teach a kid how to catch with their hands? Do you throw it on a line? No, you toss it to them, right? Well, right when you toss it to them, right when the parent tosses to them, where's their stick go? To here. And so they put their stick out like this and they try to catch it, and it doesn't work. That's not where the game is played. So if you can teach them at this age to accept the ball here and to cradle here, all of our players get better, faster. Everything works in advance. Where are we at? We had about 10? Okay, cool. Passing. First thing, hand position. Elbow to the hand. That's where their top hand should go as they're passing. Now, as they're catching, they should have their hand up on the head of their stick. If you're just learning, catch it. Try to have them not move anything. Slide the hand down. If you make tape on their stick, that's a really good way to do it. And then they're throwing. Who knows the reason why you have this? Does anyone know? This is something I learned very recently. Fulcrum. It's a fulcrum, yes. Yep. What else is a fulcrum? Your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder. Here's the cool thing. All these distances are equal. So as we get into shooting, we're going to get the best torque out of hitting this 90-degree angle and snapping through this and really snapping it hard. All of the distances are equal, which helps us generate, there's no weak point of force. Does that make sense? That everything stays the same and we're generating as much power as we can. Now, we'll skip that. So next thing is passing is collarbone. I always like to have them go like this. You're going to aim with the butt end. I like them to look down the shaft. Now, one of the huge things on passing is no preceding movement. So many kids are like this. They all like to do it. It's with passing, it's with shooting, it's with all that. And we really want to have them start to learn whether they come out to here and throw across their body or not, is try not to have those huge windups. It'll help them a lot. Now, bottom hand to top hand elbow, this snapping motion. All players should be snapping the ball. Doesn't matter how young they are, they should all be snapping the ball. If they snap it and it hits the ground, their stick needs to be restrung. And my classic thing is, I don't care that you can toe drag. Pass the ball. You got to be able to pass. And the reason, I'll do a quick explanation. Everyone knows whip, right? So whip is basically the amount of friction you have in your head to allow the ball to come out. So the more friction, the farther I have to get through my pass to make the ball come out. Now the problem is when I'm inside and I have to protect my stick and come from here, I can't generate enough force to get it out. So if I'm trying to throw a nice finesse pass, I can't do it because I have to generate more force that I have to do for shooting to actually get the ball out. Quiz question. Which Division I coach is famous for cutting all of the terribly strung sticks with too much whip out of the sticks of his players? Petramala? No. Who moves the ball best? Who? Tierney, exactly. Bill Tierney at Denver when he was at Princeton. It was pretty funny. Desco was telling that story. Next thing is as they follow through, if you ever, so here's the way I like to tell the kids. As they come through, they need to always follow through. It'll help them with their shooting. But when you're in a car and you try to stop, when do you start stopping? So they're going to say, I did follow through, but they're kind of going to end here. But the key is that, especially if they're shooting, if they're stopping here because they have too much whip, you don't start stopping, you start stopping here to be able to like hold it. So the car analogy works for them. If you can stop at a light, you start stopping a lot earlier. Okay. Faking. Two types of fakes, goalie fakes and field fakes. So goalie fakes are in tight. They're slight movements. If you're going to cradle like this, and this is why I like to have them start here, make sure that their hands or their stick is in their fingers. Goalie fakes are little. The butt should never not point at the goal, right? So as I come through, you've also got, so the top hand's going to curl. You're quick and you're precise. Butt end should always point at the goal. And so box terminology is near side, far side. And because right-handed players always play with their stick to the middle, same with left-handed players, you've got near side fake, far side fake. Then you also have high versus low. And the reason why you don't want to throw it here is obviously timing, but if my butt stays pointed at the goal, I can always come over the top, right? So even if I say I'm trying to fake here and then come back through that way, I could even fake to here and then still come forward. But so as long as my butt's pointed at the goal, I'm more dangerous. Now, field fakes are used predominantly now by the kids to try and get their defensemen to turn around. That's probably the second reason why players should use them. You really want to use fakes and misdirection with your eyes to move off-ball defensemen. So as you come off some of the 3v2 stuff we're talking about, if I look up at one player and then I could throw a tiny little fake and then I can throw it through to the other player, but I can move off-ball players based on where my eyes go. Okay. Most important one is going to be a look back fake. So as you're coming off of either a shallow cut or a pick, you look back towards the player who's slipping and then you can keep going. It'll help to confuse defensemen who might be switching or who may slide. An over the top fake, which we're about to see, is just a fake that's much bigger that you're trying to move those defensemen. So as players fake, you've got to be aware. If they're doing this, we want them to stop. We don't want them turning their bottom hand over. Now, if they're throwing like a big field fake where they're trying to get their kid to turn and they're coming through, that's fine, but we don't want them throwing fakes like this if they're in on goal. So this player's going to throw a fake, hit the other player. It's just a nice little example. We'll have a couple of examples on other stuff too. Okay. Shooting, first in tight. Shooting is a progression that you can build up from the bottom up, or from the end backwards is how I'll say it. So first, I always have my players have their elbows forward because this is where their elbows are going to end up. Their arm is straight like this. Their bottom hand has to come across their body. And now they're only working on pulling from their bottom hand to their top hand and coming over the top. So if you see a bunch of Salisbury shooters or people who go to, what's it called, Lax Shooting Academy, things like that, they're going to start you off here and they're going to work on perfecting that snap. And a lot of those places, the Lax Shooting Academy, will actually pay for the kid's broken stick to make sure that they're snapping really hard. And so in tight shooting, we want to be in tight because we want our sticks as close as we can to our heads so that if people try to check them, hopefully they'll miss, hopefully we'll get a penalty. And we really don't have to generate too much force inside, but if we can get that much force with just our wrists, that's good. That's why in the box every single day, my guys start with wristers, which is basically just that and teaching fakes. Point butt end, same thing. Bottom hand to top hand elbow, just like passing, and now we're always going to follow through. Now, as we get into more stuff with faking, we're going to be able to fake and then come through and wrap around, but for the most part, we're going to start with our collarbone. Okay, time and room shooting. So the most difficult thing for kids to get time and room shooting is they all want this big, huge windup. We want to get rid of that. We want them to be able to come through and have their stick pointed at the goal the entire time where they don't have to move their stick. Because when they watch people like Rabel's stick is always going to come through the same spot right here, and he's always going to come through very well, but it's because he's practiced it so many times. So if you can have your players practice with their sticks still. Okay, so point butt end throughout. So if the goal is that way, I'm going to point my butt end. I'm going to get my hands away from the goal, not curled behind me. Now, as you curl behind you, at some point, if you're going to shoot sidearm, we'll go over that in a second, but you can kind of curl a little further. But as we come through, we're going to take a short step. We're not pitchers. That's one of the big mistakes that a lot of people make, is that pitchers have this big mound. They can use a lot more gravity to fall forward, but when we're shooting, we're actually stopping some of our momentum by having a super huge step. So we actually want to fall over our front foot, and we want to come through, step, pull through it. Our arm needs to hit 90 degrees. Now we're here, and now we're going to snap through it. We're going to go 1 to 7, 11 to 5 if we're lefty, and we're going to fall through our shot and turn our shoulders over. I like to tell the kids shave their shins, and then you end up bent over. Okay. Now, shooting on the run. This one causes some contention because a couple people say just step to the cage. I find that to be just a lot harder to do. Same thing though, pointing the butt end. You see players like Rob Pennell, like Joey Sankey, like all of the great attackmen, and they're all very, very good at getting their sticks out away as they curl from X, and they get their sticks forward before shooting back, and so they point their butt end the entire way. Now, I like to have my players do a drill called power T. And what power T is they're going to stand like this, they're going to come through, and they're going to kick their outside foot, and they're just going to turn. And so if I went lefty, same thing. I'm going to kick my outside foot, rotate around my front foot, and then I'm just going to turn and backpedal. Now, as I'm coming through, that's helping me to get to my 90 degrees. Then I'm going to point my butt end, and as I turn and I kick through it, now I'm turning, coming straight through, and I'm going to end up backpedaling. And so Mark Millen used to teach this like this, and the guy who does Lax Shooting Academy doesn't like it because he says it goes against his cross-crawling nature, right? Right arm activates left leg, left arm activates right leg. That's how we walk. That's how it's natural. I actually think that this does incorporate it because as you kick your foot and you come through here, when you're coming through, you are actually kind of using your leg. You just have to turn. But so as you can see, another way to practice this is have the players take jump shots where they rotate around their outside foot and they come through like this, and then they'll get the idea of how to swing their outside foot around them to create the force that's going to have them turn. Okay. Dodging. We're going to cruise through this one. So a north-south dodge is any dodge where we're outside and we need to get to the inside of the field. So north-south can be from X to the inside, and we can do it in two ways. We can attack top foot, where we are trying to, if they approach us and they're trying to take away a side, we're going to attack that side of them so that we can go either direction. Drifting is what Rob Pennell does, where he kind of drags, and then explodes. Okay. Next, so split dodge. It's a juke move. You're acting like you're going to go one way, you're going to go the other way. That's basically what all north-south dodges are. A split dodge is just you switch hands while you do it. Same side split is you're just not going to switch hands. A face dodge is, as I carry over, I'm going to protect here, and then I'm going to try and edge my guy out. And now wind-up dodges are anything where I'm going to wind up like I'm going to shoot, and then I'm going to either face dodge, spin move, or I can come through and I can put my foot in the ground and I can come up above and hitch around him. So wind-up dodges are one of the best ways to teach players how to dodge, because they're faking like they're doing something and then they're doing something else, and they really do grasp it very, very well. Okay. East-west dodges are anything where we are running with someone. And so as we are running with a player, our objective is not to just make them fall or anything. Our objective is to get north-south. So for the rocker, you're going to go, you're going to act like you're going to roll, you're going to step back, you're going to keep going, and hopefully he either accelerated or decelerated something that you like off of you, and then your job is to go north-south. A lot of players will do it, but they won't actually try and turn the corner. So you've got speed changes, so I guess you got hesitations, which you can do this by turning kind of inside. You can do a rocker. Skip hesitation is one I like a lot, where kids will come up and they'll kind of slow down and then speed up. Explode is just exploding out of it, exactly what it sounds like, and then a bounce is where you're kind of going to step away, but we're going to get to that in a second. So changing directions, our roll dodge, stick foot rollback is one where if I'm running left-handed, I'm going to use my left foot to stick in the ground and I'm going to swing my right foot all the way around. You have to be going slow, but you can explode out of it a lot faster. 2 feet, which most players do, is they're going to decelerate with their stick side foot, and then they're going to put their foot in the ground and drive off of it with their other foot. Now, as they do this, they should keep their stick on their same side shoulder until they're out of the move. So they should have their stick. A lot of kids, what they're going to do is they're going to hit here, they're going to switch, and they're going to leave their stick. If they keep it on their shoulder till they're through the turn and then they come out of it, their stick will be protected the entire time, unless the defenseman throws a really nasty rusty gate. Okay, hands-free dodges. So these are basically the 3 types of dodges as far as how I see them. Hands-free dodges are any time you're running with the ball and you've got to get your hands free. So you got to step away, and so as he's running, he's going to step 90 degrees out and he's going to move the ball. If he moves it forward, it's going to be just a step away, and then if he backpedals away from his player and throws it up, it's going to be a money pass. Then you've got question marks, which are the same thing, but now I'm going to turn away and throw it. So much to get to. So the important thing about stepping away is that you're setting up for a redodge as well. So if I'm running and I come through and I step hard away, he has to reapproach me to make contact, which means I can either explode through, I could come back, but you got to teach players how to actually bounce, because it's really hard. The hardest part of playing defense is making good contact, because that's all there really is. Like in basketball, you have to stay in front of guys, but you can't push them. In lacrosse, the contact is the hardest part, because if you miss, you're screwed. Then we've got our question mark. So within this, we're going to jab. The reason I like to add this jab in is because it gets players in the habit of exploding away. So we're running, we're going to jab, stick out to the sideline, and now we're going to turn and we're going to go get our stick. And so we're going to leave our stick here, we're going to turn our body, and we're going to leave the stick where it is to throw back the way we came. So if you just remember these steps, jab, throw stick to sideline, turn to go get it, the players will remember those things and they'll be able to do it correctly. If you set up, say, a throwback line drill, which is where you're probably going to end up teaching this, and you have them run through it and you just say, then just turn around, they're not going to do it correctly. So having the right verbiage and how to do it is a good thing to have. This is also in your packet thing. Money pass. So there are a lot of people online who have been using this a ton now as a way of redodging. So if I'm running, a money pass is I'm going to jab, and so my defenseman's here. I'm going to turn, I'm going to face him, and now from here a money pass is just passing back the way it came, right? But this also squares me up to a defenseman in order to dodge again. So as I'm running and I step square up, I can re-explode that way, I can re-explode this way, and I can redodge on either a slide or the defenseman who's still with me. And so these have to become things within your practice that you actually actively teach them to do within the skill drills. So we're going to have throwback line drills. We're going to go through all three of these different things. Oh yeah, you can throw back first poles, but it's a lot tougher. Let's see. Bounce stare dodging is basically what we just talked about. We're going to step away, maybe look back fake, and then keep going. Okay, like I said, when we do skill drills, we want to incorporate multiple skills. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is if you can use two drills that use the exact same formation, it's going to help us a lot. So if you have a book, if you turn to star drill, you'll kind of see this as we go to star and swing it drill, or even line drills and throwback line drills. But so does everyone know star drill pretty much? Okay, well if we want to run through star drill, what I'll have our guys do is we'll go right to right, both ways. So we're not always throwing across our body. So we'll go right-handed and we'll switch it, so we'll end up having to throw the other way, not across our body. Then we'll go lefty, then we'll do catch and split, and then we'll do catch and fire, and then we'll do a bunch of other things as we go through it. Then probably the next day we'll set up star drill, we'll run it the same way we have, and then I'm going to tell them, okay, now go to the inside of the cone. And they're going to go, what? What do you mean? I go to the inside of the cone. Also, if you're looking at the star drill, notice that it's set up to emulate what we do, how we set up our 2-3-1. And the players can run through star drill while I'm warming up the goalie. So then I'll have them go to the inside and we'll swing it around the outside where players have to pop out, catch it, turn, and if there's pressure, turn to the outside, switch hands and move it, or they have to pop out, catch it, move it again. There's just ways that you can use the same drills to teach multiple skills. Line drills and throwback line drills are pretty standard. Set up these straight lines, they're going to throw in line drills. Then when they go to throwback line drills, they're going to throw back the way they came. Saints passing and ping pong passing. Another one, bling bling shooting is another one. Okay, this is one of my biggest pet peeves when I watch coaches coach. I'll be coming out to, and so I am going to be coming out to help any one of you who wants me to help. That's one of the parts of my agreement with creating this whole book for you and my part of joining Hawks. Now, for the first bit of practice, I'm just going to watch. And you can kind of tell me kind of what's going on, and I can try and give you help. But I want to watch you guys coach so that I can, like, I'm not here to come and change what you do. Do what you do. But if there's little things I see and I'm like, okay, well, make sure we are addressing kids as they're in the drill. So one of the biggest mistakes that I made early in my coaching career was I would kind of just let the players do it. But players are making little mistakes all the time, and so we need to be there to kind of say, you know, hey Jimmy, get your hands up. Or as you roll, make sure you don't switch hands too early. Or little things like that that don't stop the drill, that keep you engaged, that let your players know that stick skills are the most important because you're engaged and you're with them as you do it. You can't just say, hey, go pass with each other and ignore them, right? Or warm up the goalie. Like, you've got to be involved in stick skills if you're going to say stick skills are the most important part. Okay, rules for these drills. Keep all players active. Don't stop the drill unless completely necessary. Usually I make it like the 3 or 4 rule. If 4 kids do the same mistake, I'll stop for like 15 seconds, say, hey, and the best way to do this based on, what do you call it, social learning theory, which is basically the way children learn. They don't learn by being told, they learn by seeing and by emulating, right? It's mirror neurons, a bunch of other psychological shit. But as they're doing it, you say, and this is how Wooden did it too. He said, "You're here, you should be here. Not here, but here." And you just show them exactly what it is, and it's there, it's done, they're still playing. Never more than 4 in a line. 3 is optimal for any kind of line drill or anything, so you got to set up multiples. The worst thing I've ever seen is coaches who have an entire half field and there's 10 kids in a single line drill and 1 ball. At the minimum, they've got to have 2 balls going at once where they're throwing across each other and going if you're going to have 10 kids in a line. But there's no reason to be able to do it. Drilling through this stuff can suck in practice for players. If you make it just standing in line, they're not going to be actually even playing the sport. Okay, as you're doing 1v1s, like I mentioned earlier, making them go through a gate so you can do more than 1v1 at a time, because 1v1s are very important. And then, yeah, smart setup. I usually take about 35 minutes to do a practice plan each day, and I kind of think through where my cones are going to be and who might have to move the cones as we go. Okay, now we're going to go through so anyone have anything to add? There's tons of very knowledgeable coaches in the room. Anyone have anything to add to any of the stuff we just talked about the skills? Maybe about what it means to actually add the skills in, because for a lot of players who have never even seen these skills, they really do bring your game to the next level.
Patrick, when you're doing all your dodges, the biggest mistake I see in youth is that kids don't read the defender. They learn the dodge, but they don't read the defender. So they do a dodge, and you'll see them roll right back into the same guy they just beat. So have them when they're doing the one-on-one, read that guy. If you beat him, if you got the space, now you got to accelerate and go. You see too many of them, they just keep dodging on the same guy that they beat 3 guys.
I agree. And I think one of the issues with that, at least from kids who I've seen do that under my coaching, is because I'm like, no, you got to go down the alley. And then they read the defenseman and they're like, I should be going over the top. But then they try and go through him. And I think what you're more so talking about is after they make the move, they're like, I have them beat, but I planned the rollback, so I'm going to roll back anyway. I'm totally with you. And that's one. So did any of you guys see the IMCLA conventions? Basically, all the college coaches get together, they go to something. Rob Pennell had a whole thing on that. You can watch it on LSN, the Lax Sports Network. But he talks about how the majority of when he's dodging is he's reading what the defenseman's doing and then reacting. Now, to be able to do that, you have to rep through the reactions enough times to actually be able to do what he does. But he definitely does read the right way. Anything else on that? Okay. So now we're going to get into our complete strategy. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go over how complete strategy works and kind of what the things that we want to focus on are. And then we're going to go through crease slide defense, adjacent slide defense, and a 21-12 offense. And then we're going to show how we build it with 3VOs, 3v2s, 3v3s. Okay, got to move faster. So the game is predicated on even versus uneven. Offense always wants to get uneven. Defense always wants to be even. Okay, so within the offense is going to use a one-on-one, 2-man game, cutting, draft cuts, draft dodges. Draft cuts and draft dodges are anytime a second player will cut behind a cut. A draft dodge is where that player will dodge behind a cut. So you can set this up, and the reason I chose 21-12 was you will be able to pick what your kids work on within the concepts of the offense. So as we come through, then we've got defense is going to use obviously great one-on-one defense, showing to prevent dodges, defending dangerous space. And then once we are uneven, we're going to draw and dump, get dangerous, follow the slide. And then they will use accounting for 2. Accounting for 2 just means that they have to be aware of 2 separate players and they have to rotate to one of those 2 players. Slides, recoveries, rotations, moving inside out and touching the hat. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to rep through all of the different advantages. There are full 20-minute videos on each one of these advantages online. And I'm just going to go through using these rules to show exactly how they'll work so that you don't have to teach separate things. You can actually keep things the same. One thing that I do want to say about this even is that 1v1s, be smart with 1v1s. You don't want to be dodging the LSM if there is a unathletic shorty there, right? We want to teach the kids to read the field, to understand who our best matchup is so that we can beat a man and draw a slide and use our draw and dump or score. So I like to have my players set up like this on the offensive end in a triangle with 2 up top. That way if the ball's tipped and it's coming over, they can lift and they can play a GB. This guy can play it. With the over and back rule, some people have said to just kind of drop, but I like to play the percentages, and if a defenseman is standing over me like he should be and he can race to keep the ball on that side and all I have to do is lift his hands, that's definitely how I want to be so I can actually make a play on the ball each time. As the ball comes over, we're going to drop down the field. So first offensive transition thing is our spacing. We always want to stay as spaced out as we can, especially if we're uneven, so that it's impossible for 2 defensive players to cover 3. So this is our rotation into a righty break, and this is how they'll rotate. M1 has to pick a side because he knows we're going to rotate into our righty or lefty break. If he had gone this way, we would have dropped A2, A3 would have come over, A1 would have gone there. Now we're going to draw and dump. So D2 decides to slide, he moves it. As A2 sees D2 sliding, he wants to move to the ball. Now, in a fast break, it's a very specific scenario where as long as you're out far enough, you're going to have time to catch the ball and make a play. But for the most part, we want to teach our players to follow slides, because as he moves, he's clearing space for us to step into that space, catch a ball, and finish. And for the most part, it's always going to take us to the middle of the field. Same thing here. We always want to catch the ball moving up the hash to catch it, and then we're going to come and follow the slide inside. Vision determines looks, especially in our, in our fast break. As players catch the ball, we want to teach them looks that they're going to have automatically. So let's say I'm dodging, right? First thing as I'm dodging, if I'm in a one-on-one, is I'm not going to be looking at my defenseman. I know where he is. I can see his silhouette. I'm going to be looking past him. As I make my move and I dodge, my first look is through. And then as I continue to go, it's going to be inside, to goal, then to X. And so as my eyes move, there's these little recognition points that I can have. So on a fast break, he's going to look through. If it's not there, it's to goal. If it's not there, he's throwing down. And that'll give them a progression that they can actually go on. Next, we're going to go to defense. First off, never slide upfield. This one's very tough to get younger players not to do, but they always need to stay with the deepest player, because what he's essentially doing by sliding early is giving this player a ton of time to read the field. And so this is another aspect that I really don't like. I hate having players get in a triangle or get in something, because right as they get in a triangle with 2 low and 1 high, he's open. Which means if they move the ball early and I slide back, maybe this guy thinks it's a rotation anyway and they come through. I'd rather have our players communicate it even at younger levels. And the way I'll do that is I'll run a 2-on-1 and I'll roll the ball in to where the player who is defending will carry in, and then once he gets dangerous, he'll decide to slide. And what we're doing there is we're making it hard for the offensive player to make a decision. If I delay as long as I can, he thinks he still could shoot, but he still could have to pass. And as I make that decision late, it creates a split-second action that he has to make in order to be successful. So I'm going to slow play that instead. So I'm kind of going to stay on him until the very last second to where I can get to him, and then I'm going to finally go. And that will eliminate his ability to make multiple decisions that will isolate where I am. Next, slide from the least dangerous player. So we're about to go through a crease slide defense. Why in the world would we ever slide from the crease? He's the most dangerous player, right? Other than the guy with the ball. Why would we slide from the crease? Or what makes him the least dangerous player? Our backsides are going to spider in. We've got 2s in who are going to help, right? And so that's how we end up doing it. We actually leave open the least dangerous player. So in our defensive transition on these fast breaks, we're going to slide from A2, because if we slide from A3, we give up a dunk. If we slide from A1, we give up a dunk. And at least here, we force them to make 1 and possibly 2 passes by sliding from the least dangerous player.
That's a great graphic right there that Patrick's got, because D2's coming in before he goes out. okay? Not going directly at the guy. You got them dropping in to come out, which is just great.
So, exactly, inside out, touch the hat. And so, touch the hat is basically the middle of the field. And the reason why we want to touch the hat is because it will put us in a position to rotate to multiple places easier, right? And it's going to keep us in skip lanes. And so when we go through some of the 3v2 stuff, you'll really kind of see how this works a little better. But so right as he's coming in and he throws to A2, if D1, so D3 is going to be rotating up. If he comes straight across and A1 goes up, the skip lane is going to be open. But if he comes to the middle first, he can stay in that skip lane, and then as the ball moves down, he's actually in a better position to get over the top of A3, which is not what's shown there. So as I go inside and I come off, like what you'll see the players do is the players are going to run straight lines here. And that's another reason why we want to follow the slide on offense, because if D2 starts here, or I guess D3 starts here and he runs straight up, and this player catches it moving to the middle of the field, he's going to turn the corner and he's going to score. But so this is just kind of how we announce it. Inside out, touch the hat. So in our actual sets, we've got fast break, green, trailer break, slow break. In our fast break, this is our L fast break, just like we saw before. Green is a set where we're 4v4. And the reason why we want to go in green is because there's probably no way they've got a slide ready, right? So if you've got your most athletic midfielder, who's hopefully a little fresh, defending someone who just ran all the way in, I like to yell green, which means, hey, go to the goal. Because the odds of these two sliding at this level, thinking that their defenseman, this guy's going to help or going to be able to defend, is pretty good. Next is a trailer, which we come in defended first, and then we have a free player behind. I love teaching this with headman passing drill, which is another full hold drill where we'll actually teach players to run down the side of the field, and then they'll have to yell trailer, 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 and then they'll have to throw back. But announcing that trailer player to push this uneven advantage is essential to seeing it. And I think we have a video of that. Now for our slow break, if we don't have an advantage, I like to get it through X, and you're just going to have players pop, and I like to have the middies come in and they're going to cut the middle, and then a couple will stay up top. But so as we come through this, we're catching the ball with our stick to the outside, turning to the outside, which is the same stuff we will do in our swing it drill. Okay, cool. Any questions on that? So that set of slides was just to show where we're trying to get offensively and what we're trying to do defensively in order to help it. So also there's rotating, which we'll get through here. So crease slide assignments. And this is something that a lot of people have different things. But so whoever's on ball, his call is ball. Whoever's to the right of the player defending the ball, his call is right. Left is left. The player on the crease, because we're sliding from the crease, is hot. And so what hot means is I'm the guy who's going to slide. Now, left and right are also hot calls, because the left and the right player may be forced to slide if we're in an adjacent slide package or if we get beat over the top, because we don't want to have our player on the crease sliding upfield from there. Now, 2 is they're going to be able to account for 2 players, the player who is on the crease and the player who is here, and he's also the second slide. So you have hot, who's the first slide, 2, who's the second slide, and I like to explain 2 to our players in 3 ways. They are the second slide, which makes them 2. They are 2 passes away, which makes them the 2. And they are defending 2 separate players. So there are a bunch of different reasons we can give them. And by giving them those reasons and making 2 our 2 call, it will allow us to teach it more effectively through the drills we're going to do. So in a crease slide defense, here's how it works. If our player gets beat, our crease player will slide and he will yell fire. Now, fire means we need help. We have an emergency. We do not have as many people as they do on the back side. That's why we use the word fire. And it should tell them, okay, we need to make sure that we are spidered in, that we are covering on inside, and that we know we may have to rotate. Now, once we slide, then once DM2 can actively defend the ball carrier, he's going to yell Rico or recover. I used to say fire and find one, but the players that I was coaching, they're like, I don't want to say fire and find one because it's fi, right? And so they kind of got that. But so I've transitioned to recover. The bottom line is that they have to know what they mean. You can use either one. If your players understand and can actually say find one to a player who's on ball, and the player on ball acknowledges it, understands it, and finds another guy, good. Even if they're saying the wrong thing, hey, get out of here, I don't care, as long as they're talking. So then these backside guys, they're going to point the recovering DM1 into the middle. And as DM1 gets into the middle, he's still dangerous as he's coming in. So these guys can't leave yet. Now, once the ball moves, DM1 gets inside, he's going to bump these players back out. And as the ball swings, now the whole defense is going to transition to defending these players. And he's going to step out. And so when the ball ends here, what's the LSM? What's the LSM's call when the ball's here? So you can say it loud. Left, good. And what's DM2's call? No. DM2, sorry, not D2. 2, good. And so as we're doing that, we're going to build up this entire defense through our smaller drills. Now, adjacents, we're obviously working a little bit different. We've got, instead of a hot player, we're going to have a 3. And a 3 is going to be 3 passes away from the ball. He'll also be the third slide. He's the only one that we're kind of messing with here. And so I like to teach adjacent slides first because I know they'll be able to use them. And most players, if a player is being dodged at and that player clears through, he's going to wonder what he's doing, right? So at the high school level, we run a package called Gray where we'll actually slide adjacent and fill from the crease. And that works really well, but it's a little complex for youth players. But if M1 dodges down the alley and A2 clears through, this player is going to feel like he's got to do something because M1's running right at him. And so a lot of times they'll kind of automatically do that. Now, as we get beat, same idea. If we have to slide, D1's going to yell fire, and then he'll yell recover once he can defend M1 well. And now the key to recovering in an adjacent set is the pass. We always want to recover away from the first pass. So if the ball, so at this point we call fire, we now have 5 players defended by 4 players, and now we need to know which way we rotate. If the ball goes forward, we have to rotate. So D2 has to go to A1, D3 has to, or D2 to A2, D3 to A1, LSM to A3, DM2 to M3, DM1 up to M2, and now we're back into our set. And so that's an actual rotation. So then, now, within this concept, there are a couple things you may not want to do. And you may want to keep matchups depending on what you have. So at least at the high school level, a lot of times we're not going to have either of these, DM1 or DM2, come down to guard an attackman like you see here. So if he throws it back, DM1 knows to recover inside and away. As the ball comes back, we actually don't have to rotate. Does the overall scheme behind this make sense? Kind of exactly what we're doing, how it works. Now, in the event of a cutter, that player defends the cutter and is out of the rotation. So on the offensive end, if we can have backside cutters as they're sliding, that can really help us to push the ball around the perimeter and have open space to dodge. Okay. Any defensive questions? Nope. Okay. So 21-12 offense is an offense that I designed based on the triangle offense, but that can be utilized with a lot more things, right? You can put anything you want into this. It's a 3-man motion. So what the 21-12 offense is, it's an offense based on 2 groups of 3 players, 3 attackmen, 3 midfielders. And they will rotate into and out of 21 and 12 formations in motions and rotations. A motion is anything where your group has the ball. A rotation is anything where the other group has the ball. Midfield formations will count from the midfield down, and attack rotations will count from the bottom up. It'll make a lot of sense. We got a lot. This is like 80 slides for just this. So 2-1-21. And so the other thing is we're going to create these. And the other thing I should mention before we get into it is a lot of times, so who uses 2-3-1 or 1-4-1 or 2-2-2 as how they describe it? A lot of people do. I mean, it's what has mainly been done. And what I found was that when I ran a 2-3-1 triangle offense, what my crease guy would do when we dodged, we'd have a dodge, follow, float. He would try to get to the top right position. And he'd eliminate his advantage by trying to get there because he wants to maintain the 2-3-1. Because that's what it is. So instead, we're going to divide it in half. We're going to create 2 3-man motions that go from a 21 to a 12, and he will be in that dangerous position for longer and will be able to actually draw, swing the ball, and attack backside. So 21, two midfielders up top, 1 on the crease. 12, 2 midfielders on the crease line-ish, 1 up top. You can also shift this up if you're going to start out of it. Pretty simple. You could also call this 3 high, but this is what it would stand for with 1, 2 is 12. Now, we always count to the middle. And the reason we always count to the middle is so that we don't have a 21 dodge, follow, float for the midfielders and a 12 dodge, follow, float for attack. So if we count from top down, a 21 here, if an attackman's dodging up this way, either way, you'll see it in a second. Okay, so now a 21 for the attack is 2 at X, 1 up above the crease, and then 12 is 1 and then 2. And the reason is because we're always trying to get to the middle, so that's why we're going to do that. So now a 21-12 is your 2-3-1. A 12-12 is an open set. A 12-21 is a 3-1-2 or a 1-3-2, depending on how low you have your wing middies. And then a 2-2-2 is a 21-21. But so we're always going to count midfielders, attackmen. And so the other thing for some of the more advanced coaches, and basically, well, just shit for everyone, is sometimes when we are in these sets, we'll have a shifted set. So a 12 here, if this attackman clears through to here because we just want him to stay here and maybe backside exchange, that's what we'd call a shifted set, and we can use those too. If you watch D-Elite play, that's what they like to do a lot. They like to shift them and then rotate them and exchange them backside. Okay, the other big thing, okay, yeah, here we go. So 21-12 is easy for players to understand. If they get confused, they'll easily be able to find where they go. What are we in? Okay, we're going to start in a 21. We're going to dodge, follow, float. Then it's easy to train using 3VOs, 3V2s, 3V3s, which allows us to put more players into practice and have them in those situations. The key is the situations, right? So within our practice, we want players to have a defenseman coming out of them out of control so that they can use their face dodge, their hitches, all of those things that they have to read and react to as many times in practice as we can. And by using 3VOs, 3V2s, and 3V3s, we can get more players through. Once players understand the motions in 3VOs, 3V2s, and 3V3s, we can combine them to create our complete offense. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a basic offense, and it's going to use our dodge, pass, pass, dodge philosophy and our draw and dump philosophy. So our motions that we're going to use, well, let me say, so there's a ton of different motions. If you've looked through your packet, you see that there's a whole list of like 12 that you can use. That's not even all of them. You can also do ones where you're passing and cutting. It really depends on what you want to utilize. But the key for younger groups is that you don't use 2 motions or 2 rotations that use different rules. Because if you use different rules, they're going to have to think, which set are we in? What's my job? Which we don't want. Thinking makes players slow. So as we build this, everything will have the same push-pull and then cut the backside rules. So if a player's running at me, it's going to push me out of the way. If he's running away from me, it's going to pull me behind him. That's our basic idea. So we're going to use a dodge, follow, float, and a sweep, fade, float. We're going to use, out of our 21, we're going to use a dodge, clear through, follow out of our 12, and a backside exchange with our 21 rotation, and then our 12 rotation is going to be a fade. So we're going to cruise through this. Dodge, follow, float. That's how the midfielders would look. Okay? Sweep, fade, float. And this brings up a huge point. Just like, I forgot your name. Just like Tim was saying, a lot of times players don't read a defenseman. And if clearly, if this is all you're doing, if you're just going down the alley every single time, I'm going to not let you. I'm going to make you sweep because my kids are going to know how to slide if you sweep. And so if I can take this away, well, basically by pairing these together, we allow our players to, one, read the dodge which way they want to go. And we also force our off-ball players to read the dodger and move in relation to what he's doing. So they all use our push-pull. For the attackman, it's the same idea. Dodge, follow, float. Sweep, fade, float. Dodge, clear through, follow. And this is kind of where we get our shifted set sometimes, because as he clears through, we don't really want him to run all the way through. Him being on the crease will help us. Same thing from the attack. And these can obviously go either direction. If he dodges this way, he clears through, he follows. So fade rotation. Whichever way he goes, we're going to fade, fade, cut the middle. And so it's all push-pull. He's pushing you, pushing you. It's going to pull me in because this is pushing me too. Same idea here. Oh, the reason I chose the fade for this example was because as we run the ball around the offense, it's going to switch up who the dodger is. If we clear through instead, basically what it's going to do, if he clears through, he comes here and he comes down, and then this guy dodges the alley, it's going to pull them right back to their original spot. So if you don't want players to move, you should use the clear through rotation instead. Backside exchange. As the dodge comes this way, we're going to exchange. Now, this keeps the, if I'm backside, I'm cutting the middle rule. If anyone's ever on the crease, they're going to have to get out away. Okay, I can cruise through this, right? Everyone's pretty good on it? You got your whole thing? Okay, so now we're going to create our complete offensive thing. So anytime we're on offense, we want to have at least these, 5 types of passes, or 4 types of passes. We always want to have an outlet forward, always want to have an outlet back, we always want to have someone through, and we always want to have someone inside. Now, if we're open, that player inside will just be cutters who come through. But we want players to understand this vocabulary so that we can dictate to them what we see. It's hard to, if you're in a, say you're in a huddle, being able to say, hey, find the through look is a lot easier than, hey, you know that 13, we got to make, he's kind of sliding off of you. Let's see if we can get you to you. Jimmy, I want you to throw it to Matt. Because then Jimmy's got to think, where's Matt? Okay, Matt's on the right side. Oh, I don't know. But if you just say, hey, as you take your alley dodge, try and find that through look, and they understand it, okay, through means across the field, now we're better. Okay, so dodge, follow, float, fade, fade, cut the middle. Pass goes forward, pass goes forward. Dodge, follow, float, fade, fade, cut the middle. And then we're going to teach, I'm going to teach how to rep it out too. Now he catches it, now he feels like sweeping. So now he's going to sweep across, he's going to fade, he's going to float. This guy on this side decides to fade because he thinks he might come his way. We're just going to keep that rotation. If they rotate previously, we're just going to keep it, doesn't really matter. Now as he sweeps, he should be pushing to the middle. He draws an adjacent slide, feeds M3. M3 shoots or tries to dodge, shoots, misses wide. In your packets, there's a whole nother thing where we explain another portion, but I didn't want to do it here because it's going to take too much time. Too much other stuff to do. Okay, yep, next thing. So now we're going to go through some simulation drills on how we're going to teach offense. So building offense and defense with 3VOs, 3V2s, 3V3s. 3VOs, the offense is going to rep out our 3VO set. They're going to rep it out, pass, pass, reset, do it again, over and over and over again. How I used to do it is I used to have 4 different groups spread out with fake goals as cones, and they would rep it out over and over and over again. I didn't care whether or not they were doing it right or not, because all of them are keeping them. I give them the trust to do it and just to keep doing, and they'll just continue to do it. And for the most part, they do a really good job, even at the 8- and 7-year-old level, of keeping on task, because I give them the ability to do it themselves. Skeleton shooting is another thing that we'll do to set this up, where we will isolate specific looks within each set and we will focus on hitting that look. So our dodge, follow, float. Let's say we dodge down, and we really think that the follow player's defenseman is going to slough in like he should, and we can have step downs. So we're going to have a guy dodge the alley, a guy follow, he's going to roll back, he's going to hit the follow's going to step down, and he's going to shoot. And we're going to do that over and over again. Then we think that the crease guy is going to slide a lot, so we're going to have the guy who's floating out, he's going to step out, and we're going to feed the through guy. And we'll hit all the different looks within our sets 3VO. So within our dodge, follow, float, we're going to dodge, follow, float, roll back, pass, pass, reset, run it again. So we'll run it again here, and then we'll sweep, fade, float. They'll get the idea of that. Then we're going to have them be forced to read it. So we're going to say, you know dodge, follow, float, you know sweep, fade, float. Now make your decision which way do you want to go. And for the most part, they're always going to go to their strong hands. And you'll get a couple kids who will do the nice split roll, and you'll really test those off-ball players, whether they understand and whether they know where they're going. So I put carry shallow cut in here for all of the coaches who, instead of dodge, clear through, follow in, for all of the coaches of young age groups. You can teach this to second graders, to first graders. They'll understand it if you just have them do it. Just say if someone's running at you with the ball, you need to go underneath them, and then you become where they are. And so they'll carry, roll back, hit the shallow cut. This guy's got to come under, because if he goes over, you can double a bunch of other stuff. But so that's your shallow cut. Then he'll go the other way. Then you'll have him pick whichever way he wants to go. So if he caught it here, he can also go back that way as well. Now we're going to get into our actual competitions and drills. And that's what we want these to be. We want them to be competitions and drills. And this is where we're going to build our actual defense. We're going to isolate factors, and we're going to build it in this way. So on offense, if we're in a 3v2, we're going to rep through our actual motions, and there's always going to be a look that's open. And so we're going to train this, because if a look is always open, we always have a right decision, and it forces the defense to rotate. But so we want them to focus on the motions, not just playing 3v2 transition. That's very important, because we're not worried about when we're a man up. Most kids understand how to draw and dump. They understand, I got to draw a guy, I got to move it. What they don't understand is how the mechanics of drawing a slide creates an advantage elsewhere. So defense on the 3v2 is always in a state of recovery, and we are backfilling. We're building the back end of our defense first. Then our slide man is going to be gone for our 21 sets, and then we must play the ball and split two at all times. So as we start, the first thing in our 21 sets that we have to understand is that this player, M4, cannot go out to guard him. He must guard M3 on the crease, because he is the most important player. He's the most dangerous player. This player is really defending him. We're missing our slide guy. That's who we're missing. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to have him throw it across. He's got to come up, be ball. Two's got to get all the way in. And he is 2, why? In this drill, why would we say, why are you 2? Defending 2 players. But he's not the second slide. He would be the first slide if he gets beat in the drill for the representation for the kid. For here, we're going to say you're defending 2 players. And which one do you need to cover? You got to cover the most dangerous one. Now, as we dodge and then we roll back, so we dodge, follow, float. Now as the ball comes back up, we're learning how we're going to have to rotate if we draw. Now this will be adjacent eventually, but as he steps away, moves it back, M4 is going to have to go up and play him. He'll move it again, and L1 is going to have to get all the way through. This is very important, because if we have a third player here and the slide comes, he's still going to have to get all the way through on his recovery. And so we're building the back end of that. Then he'll carry up, he'll move it, and this is just them resetting, but then we'll run it again. And if he sweeps, we have the same kind of idea where as he sweeps, now M4 actually needs to stay inside until he sees this pass, because then he's splitting these 2 and he has to, we're forcing him to actively see 2 players in a small game where I can focus my attention in on just this backside player and let him know, hey, M4 gets sideways. So instead of having to look at 12 players playing 6-on-6 all the time where I can't really teach them individual things, now it's a much smaller thing where kids are getting multiple reps quickly, and I can instruct them on what they're doing wrong as much as I possibly can. They're just going to reset. He's going to carry up. As he moves the ball, M4 is going to come in. L1 is going to fall off M1, and he's going to go B-ball. Okay, carry shallow cut. Now, we don't have someone on the crease, so the two players are actually going to split by being in the middle. Now, I don't mind the idea of saying if you have two players, get into an I. I get the idea, and I think it does represent it in third through, or like, I don't know, first through third, but they got to know the names. Why are you two, or which part of the I are you? I'm the ball, okay? I'm the two because I'm splitting two. And I think that if we can get those representations early, it'll really help us to develop higher level players much faster. Now, as we do this, the players need to know how to rotate, so we're going to move the ball. M4 is going to go take ball, L1 is going to fall in play 2. I'm pretty sure most of us know how to do this. Now, as they carry shallow cut, same basic idea. As he carries over the top and then throws back, L1 is going to defend him. Once the ball moves, he then is going to come in. M4 is going to go up and play ball. That's how they're resetting. But we're getting players used to the idea of if I'm on ball, I'm staying on ball. If I'm off ball, I've got to play the next player that I'm accounting for. Then they go the other way, same basic idea. Now, for 3v3. This is my favorite part to watch the offense play because they're so successful in 3v2s, they just think they wrecked shop and they think they're so awesome. And now we rep 3v3s and now they got to actually beat somebody. And the defense is like, I don't think so. So we got to find the same exact looks as before, but now we got to do it much faster. The defense has to learn the rules of communicating a slide, and we've already built the back end of recovering through 3v2s. So we got our ball, hot, and our 2. And he's spidered in all the way because if the hot slides, the 2 has to be inside to cover him. That's why we have him, and that's why we explained to the players that you are defending this guy up top, but you have to account for him. As we move the ball, the player on ball is going to come in B2. The hot player, this is very important, is going to get ball side leverage. Let's say I'm playing Andrew and Andrew's on the crease, okay? And he's an amazing inside finisher. The other thing he's probably really good at is using a bumblebee pick where he sticks his butt out and he just sticks his stick out and he can just catch the ball, right? Catch, turn, and finish. If I'm not ball side of him, I'm not going to be able to go through him. Right? So good crease players really understand that. If they know that we're crease sliding, they'll get in front of the crease slide and they will not let him slide, which is going to let players get down the alley. So if you are running a 2-3-1 with a clear through and an alley dodge, tell your attackman to clear through and pick the slide. I guarantee you'll get a ton of great looks as you're doing that. Now, so ball side leverage, very important. He's got to make sure he gets to the ball side. Then as we rep the actual thing, I should have done an image of it going back, but didn't. So we have our dodge down the alley. He gets beat. We have fire, and then our 2. Now you see where and why we get our 2 here. And so then he can cover him. He says Rico. He starts his recovery. Notice how L1 makes the exact same movement he did in our 3v2. He has to go all the way across the field. Now M4, and actually I'll just show it to you when we get to it. M4 becomes our 2, and he has to go up and play this player. Now, if M2 doesn't draw him, he can actually slow play and let L1 recover into him. It's a little more advanced of a tactic, but we don't want to teach switches on things where 2 players are running quickly. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So then they're just going to reset, and they all got to be accountable for where they are. On the sweep, and this is an important aspect, if they sweep across the top, we should not slide from the crease. If you slide upfield in that position, it's too easy to read the field, read the goal. We want to slide adjacent. And so as we slide adjacent, in our 6-on-6 set, this player would actually be here because we'd have 2s in backside. And so it's a little different for our 3v3, but it'll represent the same things. And we're actually going to, so we're going to slide adjacent with M4, who will say hot fire, and recover. And as he's coming through, M5's now going to have to split 2 backside, and we're going to wait on which direction the ball goes. And we always recover where? Where do we recover? If you're on ball, someone says find one, someone says recover, where do we go? Away from the first pass. Inside and away from the first pass. So if he comes through, M5 is going to have a lot easier time getting to M3, and he's going to come here. If it goes the other way, we reverse it. Now we reset, come through here. And this, I think, is just them doing the other one. Now, for carry shallow cuts, now we see our adjacents, and we go ball left and right. As we move, it's important that the players understand the communication has a bunch of different meanings. First, you are not only telling your teammate where they are, where you are telling them what you're responsible for. If I'm to the left of an oddball defenseman, I'm telling him I can cover you if you get beat to your left. And it should be taught that way. It's not just where you are. I don't care where you are. I care that you can help. And so as we teach that, everything revolves around the ball, the on-ball defenseman, but it's got to be taught in a way of you're responsible for this thing. So if we do our carry shallow cut, this is part that where I don't like switches on two players running full speed away from each other. Right? So if they set a pick and one of them stops, I'm fine with switching because the player who's running full speed off the pick and has to switch, he's switching to a stationary person. Right? It's not too difficult to just stop and play that player. Now if he picks correctly and he picks goal side and he slips, it becomes a little more difficult, but as long as he's stationary. But if M1 dodges as hard as he can and M3 gets up as hard as he can and M4 yells switch, L1's running full speed this way. Do you think he's really going to be able to stop, turn, and get back up to M3 as he's shallow cut? I doubt it, and it'll trip you up. So instead, what we want to do is we want to slide, and then we'll actually just recover. So he'll fire to it. M5 will spider in to become the 2 between M3 and M2, and then we'll recover like we would anything else. As the ball comes back to M3, then L1 will recover in through to M2. As we're teaching this, we really want to hit West Jenny a lot because it'll have players have a lot of fun. If you watch the West Jenny video, I highly recommend it to everybody. Watch it and do the things that are mentioned within it. Like a lot of coaches that I know only run West Jenny to attack in transition. And attacking in transition is excellent. It's really good. But they're missing opportunities for really good coaching points. And one of the biggest coaching points is pick up players at the midline. Don't get way in. Get used to rotating good distances. Get used to calling ball to, all those things. Okay. Where are we at? Dude, I might actually finish. That's sweet. Any questions on the offense, defense, how we build it? Has anything I've said, are you like, oh, cool, I might use that? Yeah, a little bit here and there? We got a shy crowd here. No? Nothing? All right, fine. Just finish your clown show, Chapla. Jeez. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to try. So now we're going to go through some more full concept stuff where we're going to go over man down, man up, clearing, goalie play, a bunch of other things. So, man down. I don't recommend using zones, but so we're going to go box in one zone. Box in one zone is basically that we all have different zones. Our poles are going to be outside, and our player inside is mostly going to lock off a player who's probably going to be on the crease. A box in, here's how they'd move, right? As the ball is moving, here's the big key. As the LSM comes out to play M1 and the ball moves to M2, the LSM will try to get back. That won't happen in our man-to-man sets. Trevor, you got anything for zone man down, little tricks, 2 steps or anything?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I try and have all my defenders do is I don't do it a lot, but I say find the lane. And offensively, what I saw was a lot of the coaches are telling the players don't switch hands because you want to be able to move quick, which means the ball's thrown inside a lot. So as long as you have your stick up, you find a lane, you're going to get a lot of tips and nuggets and picks and stuff like that, which just disrupts that man down.
So that's right here too. So if I'm the LSM, right, and they're coming up this way, getting the stick right into that area. I think you picked a few of our passes last year, actually.
There's a few lefties, so like a lot of them have that righty on that back side, so they're throwing across, coming back up. yellow right, you have that stick upfield anyways. You pick that pass off, and then you push transition to a pass. That's a big one. And then anytime you can find a finish on the field and kind of just jump that and get pressure on hands right away, that's going to disrupt, again, it's just about disrupting one pass or one player. It makes most man downs just fall apart. So if you can jump that one player who may not be the best at catching her or handling pressure or whatever it is that you notice, jump that one, get the ball on the ground, and then ideally you can at least fight for a ground ball and it kills time, if nothing else.
Cool. So box and string is going to be the same basic idea where we're playing in our zones, but if the player is top center, we're going to send our crease player up. We're going to backfill with D2 and D3 so we can cover the crease inside. And so we're basically just accounting for him up there. So now, as the ball swings up in our 3-3, now the player on the crease is going to come up, he's going to defend up top, and then we're going to try and sink through D2 and D3. Now, I prefer to do rotations because I like to get pressure onto the ball. And so as we're playing through, we're going to have our basic same adjacent slide rotations. But so we're going to have a ball, a right, a left, and a 2, and then our defensive midi on the crease is going to lock if we're going to 4-man rotation. So all these poles are going to rotate around the field as they go. It is more dangerous to have the players rotate than it is to have them in zones unless you can get in hands, because you're going to create a lot of space as you're running around and moving around. So like Coach Menschall said, as far as disrupting, if you're not in their hands, they're just going to be able to pick you apart. And I'm pretty sure I have a video of Arapaho doing it. I thought I had another video of Trailer, but I don't know. So also in this, if you're right or left, you have to block these adjacents. That's huge, and that's how we'll attack it in our 3-3. Notice how as the ball moves from A1 all the way across to A3, D2 has to get all the way across the field to A3. As we're in the middle of this, these skips through are going to be where we're going to try to attack it. So in a 5-man rotation, now we're going to rotate all 5 players around instead of 4. And so basically as the ball comes around, once we have our 4th pass, we're going to rotate our crease guy out. And so DM1 is going to come out, D2 is going to come in and play A2. Just another way to do it. Now, man up. 3-3 man up. Don't ever have your players set up like this, please. Now, it's funny because Coach Menschall mentions picking off passes, and by setting up correctly, we're actually going to make that easier. But we really want to make sure we have these options to skip balls through. And so if we set up in a straight line, we miss those passes. So we don't want to set up in a straight line. But we also want to make sure our players are moving where they're coming out first if the ball is coming to them, and then sinking in backside, trying to find backside lanes. And as Coach Menschall said, finding lanes, as far as the passing lanes, get your sticks in them, we want to find lanes on the offensive end and gaps to step into. So this gap right in between these two, those two, we want to step into those and try and draw and find space inside of them. So as we swing the ball, once he moves the ball, he's then going to find this back pipe as the ball swings around. Same for M3. M2 is kind of going to pop up. I didn't have him move. And then A2 is going to follow the ball as he comes around. Here's your 3-3 example. So notice they're not moving. They're not moving a lot, but the defense is moving a ton. And so we'll watch that again real quick. The cool thing about a 3-3, and there's a whole another 20-minute video on just this man up on there, and it's in your packets, is that you can read how the defense works first and then pick however you want to attack that offense. So if they're rotating and they're bringing a player 2 up top and they're rotating backside, like I showed with, I think it was D2 had to get all the way across the field. When the ball hits top center, our lanes are going to be down to the bottom corners and we're going to be able to get that. Whereas if they're in a zone where, say, they don't pull the player up top, we're going to be able to step into the center gap, draw the defenseman in, and then play 3v2s on the sides. But so notice how they don't move much. The crease guy's following the ball. Good skip pass here. Good decision not to shoot. Move it. And then they're just finding gaps. Arapaho is really good at this. So now, twist is going to be our play that it's in your book too. But so what we're basically going to do is we're going to carry shallow cut here to pick on this defenseman. And as we pick on the defenseman, if D3 stays with him, we're going to throw back to M2 and push this 2-on-1. If he doesn't stay with him, he's going to step in. He could draw the LSM and move it to M1. But basically, by switching these two players, we're going to isolate one, read what he does, and then we're going to play out of it from there. Now, the cool thing about this and making the 3-3 and this twist play your man-up play is that it forces the players to actually read the field versus a set play where you're saying, you know, make sure you pick it this time, or hey, we're going to pass down here and we're going to pick. There is a play like that in your playbooks as well called 22 quick. But I like this one more because it will make sure the players are learning to read the field. So this is twist with lefties a couple years ago. So they're going to twist this left side. And as he reads, he stays with. We isolate the 2-on-1. It's a slow rotation and he scores. Any man up questions, suggestions, anything like that? Man down? Good on those? Okay. Cool. Clearing, writing, subbing principles. We're going to go over the actions and communications. We're going to go over clears. We're going to go over rides. We're going to go over subbing. So this is my biggest thing for how you communicate with players. Let's say you got a player on the defensive half who is not seeing his man. You want to say, you know, name, look away. You know, like Patrick, look away. Or Patrick, get in hands, or something where they acknowledge that you're talking to them and then they understand what you're saying. Now, if we want them to pass the ball to someone, we don't want to use that player's name. We don't want to say, hey, pass to Sean, because then I got to look around. Shit, where's Sean? Oh, there's Sean. Oh, found him. Instead, we want to use locations. And so we're going to go through all this and we're going to talk through our locations. So break is the goalie's call once he has the ball. Banana cut is this cut to get outside. We want to get deep, wide, and we want to make sure we never lose sight of the ball in case the goalie screws up. Now, if I'm open to the right of the goalie, I'm going to call right. And that means as we're playing through this ride, that's what I will say. If he throws to me and I run upfield and I get doubled, I want to wide turn away. And then if D1 is open here, he wants to say over. So this over pass is all the way over the field. So we have right, left, and then over. And so as we're shouting that to the players, they should acknowledge what the pass is so that they know where they're at. Wide turn away is what this is called. You can also just say roll away if you're trying to instruct him to do it. Next one, get out away. This is another part of the goalie thing that I like them to do. The green ones are actions. The purple is what we'd say. So get out away is basically just if there's an attackman in the goalie's face, we don't want him to just run out. We want him to get out of the crease away from the defenseman. Then you've got your left, and then redirect our goalie if we're going to pass back up to the goalie. And then as these three carry up the field, they're going to walk it up. And as they walk it up, they want to stay as close to even as they possibly can. That way, a pass where if I'm the goalie, if my defenseman's just, you know, jerking off in a corner somewhere, if he's way back there and I need his help and I turn and I got to turn all the way over, it's going to be a lot more difficult to throw the pass if he's not engaged with me and staying with me. Next, back. This is huge. Defensemen have to stay in the play. Most of you have players who can just run the ball out, and that's probably what you'll do. And I hope you'll at least use the clear and teach the clear so that you can get your best middie in the middle of the field, have him catch the ball, have him run it out. But if he ever gets doubled, the defensemen have to understand they've got to watch the play and that they need to yell back if he gets in trouble. Next, okay, corner route, up to the corner, just like football. Curl. Same thing, turn to the outside as we're coming up field, and we're going to maverick back to the ball. That's running straight back to the ball. Here's a cool thing. So if I've got someone on my back and the ball is there and I'm running straight back at it and he's right on my ass, am I open? I'm totally open. If he puts the ball in front of me, I can easily catch it, turn to the outside, and then run upfield, right? So those little things about mavericking back are big. As I turn, I want to turn to the outside. I always get that a little weird. I kind of like the middle of the field, but you can get doubled in 10-man rides, and the outside gives us a third defenseman. Next, headman. If I'm ahead of the play, I'm going to yell headman. so that as we're coming through, if I catch the ball and I'm trying to run upfield and I hear headman, I know exactly where he is. He's right in front of me. Straight up is another one. If it's just straight up field, that's where I'm going to go. Next, we've got high and away. If the ball is in this corner, high and away is opposite and upfield. Middle is just in the middle of the field, and this dragon is dragging across the field. So now we've got our clearing formations. Okay, so this is the base of the clear, D1, G1, and D2. And we want to make sure we set that base at all times. Every single time, we got to set the base. Then we can have different formations up top. Dragon is from a 4 across the middle, which we're not, 4 across the midline, which we're not going to show, where we'll step 2 middies over that take 2 of their middies over, and then we're going to alternate stepping over and coming back with our defenseman and LSM. A little too much there. So now, that's our first one, is our diamond, and in our diamond clear, if we pick up the ball off an end line, this player is going to cut to the ball right away. If he doesn't get it and we throw it over, he's going to cut to the ball, and we're trying to just get out through the middle of the field. This diamond clear should work for most of you. Your most athletic player, the defensive middie that you want to have run it out, he should be able to run it out, but if you build in this base, it'll help them. Right now, I'm working on a clear for a high school team that I just joined because they ran a short stick the whole way. And it really screwed them over last year when they played Creek, because Creek was bigger, faster, stronger, and they didn't know how to move the ball. But we want to move the ball. We want to stay spaced because we've got an extra guy. They shouldn't be able to cover us if we move the ball. Now our ladder clear. So ladder just basically means we're going to have 2 guys on each side, and I'm going to act like this is the box. And so once we get the ball to M2, he could headman it to M1, and we'll just run it out the side. But so these formations you can use, and you can just play with them. Now, on the offensive end, once we get down there, like I mentioned before, this is how we're going to drop. If we want to get down the side in our slow break, down the side is the call we'll have for the attackman to pop out, catch, turn away. Through X, we can also yell. But so we've got a pop because he's popping to the ball, support because he's the next player, and then this backside player, I really like to have him post up here so that as the ball gets to X, we can dodge this side before they get set. Riding. Okay, so these are just different. All the players on the field are not actually on the field, right? So like we've got 2 sets of attackmen, but I just did 2. So our windshield wiper ride means that these 2 attackmen can play these 3 players, and our other attackman will come up and he'll play a middie or a defenseman upfield while the middies drop with their other players. Now, a 3 deep zone is all of our attackmen are going to drop to the midline. They're going to create 3 zones. The middies are going to create 3 zones. For the most part, if you can get an 8th grade team to ride well, good job. Like, that's excellent. It's really, really tough to get players to really ride, especially younger players. But these are just 2 of the ways you can do it. Okay, subbing. Always have the LSM go box side, up into the box side. That way we can easily get our LSM off and our first midfielder on. When we sub, the first player on the field should always be the best defensive midfielder on the next line. Because if we screw something up, we don't want our O-mid on there, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to send the kid who can't play defense on first. We're going to send him last. And what we're basically going to do is we're going to send the LSM box side first. He'll sub if he can. Then we'll settle on offense and we'll draw the other 2 off. And the O-mid will come on last. And he's the player who you don't want to go to defense. And his rule is come off the field. Is the box shortening for us too? Or is it still going to be 20? Or it's still going to be, yeah. Wait. It should be 20. Because now it's 10 for college. So 10, but did they switch ours too? Okay. And so getting back to defense, don't sub going to defense. Have at least 2 of your players be defensive middies. If you can get off, players can, but we're not going to go into high level stuff. Okay, so training clear communication, 3-man passing, where you have a player in the middle, 2 players on the outside, and everybody just weaves. Don't just weave. Have them run upfield. Teach everyone the communication. And we're going to do that in a couple ways. I'm going to have the ball in the middle. he's going to call right, I'm going to throw it to him, and we're going to go out, in, out, in, out, in. So if he wants it, he yells left. I yell right back, or goalie. And then I catch it, he says right, I move it to him. Then we're going to go out, over, in, out, over, in. And so he'll go right, I'll go right. This guy will go over, he'll go over. I'll go inside or goalie, and he'll hit me. And then he'll go right back, I'll go to him. He'll go over, he'll go over. And then we're teaching the terminology that we're using within our clear, within our 3-man things. Then you can do your weave, which headman. That's your call in a weave. The objective of a weave is to get ahead of the ball, to move the ball upfield. It's not just to intermingle yourselves. It's about getting ahead of the ball. Headman passing is just something where we're going to set up kids in a line. Like, so if this is the field, we're going to go up here. We're going to have a cone, 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 cone. They're all going to start running. We're going to headman it, headman it, headman it, headman it. And then once we get to the other side of the field, we can trailer, 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 shot. It's just one of the things we can do. Then clear passing, which is in your binder, is something where you're going to set up an entire clear. You're going to have, you can start with just the base, you can start with anything else, but you're going to have them rep through patterns of a clear. But everybody from 4th grade on should at least have a base set up and should have a midi in the middle of the field ready to get the ball and get it upfield. Duke scrapping drills, probably top 5 drills for me. It is also in your packet, but it's basically an odd man situation on the crease where we're going to roll out one of 2 balls. As we roll out one of the 2 balls, they're going to play out the 3v2, 2v1, or 4v3 in a specific set of time. We're acting like we drew a slide, and now we have 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 7 seconds to make this turn into a goal, or the defense would have recovered. Once that plays itself out quickly, we throw the other ball to the goalie, and they have to clear. The team with 3, the offense, has to double the ball, which creates a numbers advantage for the clearing team, and they have to set up the clear. You can read about it in your books. Face-off basics. Okay. Any questions on the clearing thing? If you can just yell directions instead of names, it'll help a ton. So, face-off specialist, pull side wing, offside wing. That's how I've decided to name them. We always want to start with everybody in the defensive half of the field. Basically, have a plan, right? Just have a plan. That's the bottom line. And so for this plan, we're saying we're going to defend, and if they line up like this, he's just going to pull it back, right? So you can do the quadrants thing. It really doesn't matter with the quadrants, but this is kind of how we want to think about it then. So items for it. Put the ball where someone expects the ball. If they line up a specific way, we're going to have calls that we're going to want to go into, but the bottom line is have your face-off specialist pull it where someone expects it so someone can run through it easily. Wing players should use ankles and elbows to box out. So as players are lining up, ready to go, they should always line up with whichever foot, whichever direction, or whichever side their other player is on, that foot should be back. So that the first thing they do is step with their ankle in front of them. Right? And now I'm going to use my elbow. I'm going to try and box him out, and I'm going to try and get in front of him. If you have space, expect the ball. That's just obvious. Like, if you've got the space, yeah, either way. Then connect with the ball carrier. After I pick the ball up, these other players have to not just run off the field. Right? So if you have a fogo, he's got to stay in the play until we get the ball to the attackman. Because if you just hop off the field, you're liable to get doubles, and the player who picks up the ball is able to get doubled really easily. Value the ball. If you've got to pass back to your defense and clear it, do it. That's a little more advanced. I don't think most of the players, 8th graders, there's a bunch of 8th graders that'll do it, but I'm not sure about the others. Box out 5 yards from the butt of the stick, his butt. Most likely players are going to pull it out through their legs, or they're going to pull it through the butt of their stick. Always begin with your pull side wing and your offside wing 5 to 10 yards in your defensive half of the field. This allows us to manipulate what they do if we can win the face-off. So for black is our first call. It's just a pull behind. So if we set up with our pull side wing behind, their offside wing is on the other side, we're going to pull to him every single time, especially if our guy is good enough to do it. Because if he decides he's going to pull it to himself in this situation, he's turning a 1-on-0 ground ball into a 1-on-1 ground ball. Why? No reason. Now, if he can pull it to himself clean every time, you've got kids that can do it, but pulling it out to him is no harder. Now, white is the other side. If we get really good at pulling back to him and they decide to lock this player off, we'll switch. We'll go to white. He'll win the clamp. He'll turn. He'll throw it out to our offside wing. If they do this where they lock him, most of the time they're going to make him go in. And one of the other aspects of this is that because most face-off specialists are right-handed because they have to face off right-handed, most of them are going to curl to this half of the field so that they can use their righty break and so they don't have to throw across their bodies, because it's a lot easier to throw the ball like this than it is to throw it like this. Now with that, you can also teach your kids how to sidewinder. So if I'm coming down this side and I've got to pass it that way, I would way rather turn to backpedal and throw across my body than I would to throw it like this 20 yards. So that sidewinder is awesome, where you just spin, make that throw. Okay. Green. Green is we're going to win it to ourselves. Face-off specialist can always go into it. Hopefully he's not just doing it to pad his stats, but you can win it to green in 1, 3, or 4 quadrants. It's basically just him doing his thing. Now, orange. This is a huge one. If you cannot win a ground ball, or you cannot win a face-off, have a pole go take the face-off. All you do, and he's not going to actually go for the ball. That's the big thing that you should just not have him do it. A long pole will stand there, and he's going to go down, in his stance, but he's going to stand. He's not going to go drop to a knee or anything, and he's just going to stand there. And then on the whistle, he's going to stand up, and he's going to put his stomach on the kid's helmet. That's it, because he's got to go somewhere, right? And so now he's not going to sit there and slash. He's just going to wait for the ball. Our wings are going to lock off so that they can play the wings, and now I'm just waiting. And so once the ball pops in the air, now I'm going to check. If you have your defenseman stop and chop, you're a dick. Just bottom line. It's just mean. You can't have a defenseman stand up and just, whack him. So belly helmet's what that's called. Standing regular grip is how he's going to hold the stick. And then as the ball pulls out, that's how you're going to play it. Okay, goalie play and training. Here's how I like to think about it. I've learned from Tierney, a couple other people, there's one really big distinction between how a lot of goalies used to think about it versus new age kind of stuff. So here's the bottom line. Goalies need to see the ball, they need to react to the ball, try to save the ball, and control the ball. Any questions on face-offs before we move on? We're good? We're hitting that mark where it's just going to keep rolling. So, stance. I just show you some goalies, feet a little wider than shoulder width apart. So balls of the feet, not toes. You don't want them to be up. You want them actually on the balls of the feet. That way they can drive through their heels and they can push with their toes. If they're on their toes already, they're missing out some of the thigh work and the calf work that they can have. Knees are bent, back's flat, hips are bent. Their hands should be up where they can actually get their hands across their body, so not out super far, but not in. For the most part with goalies, if they're crazy enough to step in cage, if they're comfy, I let them go, right? But I also ask them, because a lot of the goalies that we have are going to places like Goalie Evolution Academy and a bunch of other places, getting a lot of work. And I always ask the goalies I'm with, how do you like to get warmed up? Or what are you working on with Trevor Tierney? Because he knows a lot more than I do. And if the kid's like, well, he really wants me to work on, stepping and pulling my back foot, that's what I'm going to watch so I can kind of help him in his development. Arms away, relaxed, square shooters. So the biggest thing I can help a goalie with is being ready for the ball, right? So as we're in our offensive set, let's say this is my goal. They don't want to move too much. They want to be set and ready. And then as the ball moves, now they're going to move and they're going to get set and they're going to be ready. But you don't want them just moving all the time, because then they're not actually ready to set it. So I will mostly watch him and say, get set. Be ready to actually save the ball. Okay. I also like to think about it as a pane of glass. My objective is not to attack the ball. My objective is to get to the space where the ball will go through. Lewis Golden from Rock Canyon High School did an entire presentation on this. He did his entire dissertation on this, that as you're trying to read, your eyes are actually not able to watch the ball all the way in. It sees it in freeze frames. So you see it as it exits the stick, and then you see it again like right in the middle, and then it's in a pane of glass in front of you. So if I'm here and I see it release and I step at it, I ruin all the information that I just got from how the ball released, right? And so instead, what I want to do is I want to watch it release, and I want to stay on this pane of glass so that my stick is here, and I want to try to get to where it's actively going. Now this is this player learning how to move his hands so that as he turns, his wrist doesn't curl and he ends up with his stick sideways. And so for Goalie Evolution Academy and a bunch of other places, they say act like it's a pane of glass leaving from there. You need to get to your pane of glass as it comes through it. Another thing is for hip saves, they got to drive to get in front of it, not turn. Now some goalies, they're just better at it and it's more natural for them, but that's what they say. Oh, it does play. So yeah, they're just working on their form. Okay, so I think there's two basic ways you can warm up a goalie. You can make them react first right off the bat, or you can have them work on their form. Now, if you can't place a ball in a spot with a lacrosse stick, don't warm up your goalie. Have a kid do it who can. Have him pass it. But don't just sit there and shoot bouncers at him, right? Like actively have him work on something. So for the most part, the most likely way most kids will warm up is they'll go high stick side 3 to 5 times, where they'll save it here. Then they'll go high offside 3 to 5 times. Then they'll go bottom right, bottom left, hips, hips, low bouncers that are close to him, bouncers that are far away from him. Then you can kind of mix it up a bit. But they get reps at making every single save that they're going to have to make against you before you're shooting full speed and before the punk attackmen, like I was, start ripping shots at them. It's very important that they get that amount of time. Now, the other way you can do it is you can go high, mid, low, where now as they're going, now they do have to react, but they know it's coming high, but they don't know where, but so they actually have to react to the ball. They're not just working on form. Then this goes stationary, same as before, but you're moving on an arc. Then you got on the run. Then obviously feeding passes in where players will. So another thing, and this is a preference thing as well, some goalies, as the ball's swinging around, as it moves to X, they like to step back, drop step here, and then as it keeps going, they'll step to the other pipe. Others like to keep their ass in the goal, and then they'll just move across. I prefer this one because it allows the goalie to see which way the ball goes.
Please do that. Please have your goalies don't play like a hockey goalie. Turn and face the ball all the time. The pivot step, like you demonstrated the first one, you follow the arc of the ball. The guys that lean over like a hockey, if they get a backside pass, they're done.
It's very hard. Yeah, exactly. I just, Hey. So, yes drill. This is my favorite drill for goalies because I like to screw with goalies because I can do a lot of really weird things with a stick and it really helps them to get better at acknowledging that they saw the ball. So, as I come through and I'm playing, I'll throw fakes, and if they move or they bite, I know that they're not watching the ball. So we want to make it so that instead of reacting to fakes or things, that they're reacting to the ball releasing from the stick. That's why they want to be so still. It's because they don't want to. The other thing is, as you have things low, how quickly can my hands hit the ground? Anybody know? This is tough. How quickly can my hands get, how quickly physically can my hands get to the ground? As fast as my arm can get to full extension and gravity can take me down. That's it. So a lot of goalies, I don't mind if they start in low because they can get up quickly. That's why I also like to fake high, shoot low, because if a goalie's momentum is coming up, gravity's got to carry him down. But so, yes drill. Every time they see the ball, they got to say yes. And it gets them in the habit of...
When they see the ball, they say yes when they see it at their contact.
Yes.
Yes. Not when they're seeing the ball released, because they see it on that. They're saying yes when they see it on the pane of glass.
Okay, perfect. Good. I feel like maybe Ryan taught it differently at Spartan's thing, but either way. So as it breaks their pane of glass and they see it there, they're saying yes. So it's not release point.
No, it's not release point.
Okay, cool. So my understanding was, yes, they lose it in between.
They're saying Ryan has them say yes when they see it when they're meeting it at the contact point. So it's yes.
Okay, cool.
When it's breaking that plane.
Sounds good. That's interesting. Cool. There's your yes drill. Another cool drill you can do with players is this tennis racket drill, where you're just kind of going rapid fire. This is just a fun one. The kids like this one.
Yeah, Dennis!
Okay. Keeping goalies busy. If you can't get them involved, create a practice plan for them while your attention's elsewhere. You can have them walk the arc in drills like so. Say you're going to do 3VOs and you're going to try and work on repping through your offense and then resetting things. Then you can have him work on his arc, work on those things. Use stepping drills. Have him be a part of some of the catching drills and long passes into a bucket. Okay, last part. Practice roles. So depending on how many coaches you have, I like to assign coaches certain things that they're going to do. If you're running a drill, there should be a coach who is starting and stopping the drill. Doesn't matter which coach it is, but they need to keep the drill actively flowing. Now, as we come through, then you're going to have instructors. So for the most part, if one coach is actively running the drill, starting and stopping it, the other one is going to be giving feedback to the players as they are in the drill, and they are going to quick, decisive things that the players can do as they're coming into and out of the drill. Let's see. Then another coach can be running, making sure that players, because players like to come out of drills and then they just kind of stand around. That's why I really like to set up cones at every drill that I do so that they know, okay, you're getting back in line, you 5 are going, and we'll keep the drill moving. When practice stops because kids aren't paying attention or they're not ready for a drill, that bothers the shit out of me. Okay. Game rules. There's nothing worse than having 3 or 4 coaches constantly yelling the entire game. There should be one coach who directs defense, one that directs offense, or one can direct everything. But having 8 different people yelling at once doesn't work. Now, there are certain situations where you're obviously going to miss something if you are the coach. The other thing is, if everyone's yelling, the ref isn't going to acknowledge the coach when he decides to call timeout. Also, nice little game tip, never call timeout to set up a play unless you have a timeout with time to go in the half and you only have a minute left or so. Timeout should only be used to conserve the ball. So if your player's running down the sideline, he's about to get hit, timeout, 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 conserve possession. That's the most important thing you can use a timeout for. Unless you can save them to the end of a half, in which case you can use them for some set plays. So you have one active voice, then you have one who's running the box. Now, running the box sucks. I had to run the box for Jamie Monroe, and he was very tough on me. And I loved it because I really realized how intense he got about the game, and it was awesome because he had specific kids who he wanted on the field, he had specific kids he didn't want on the field. But so I had to watch the game like this. All right, Billy, you're next. Then you. Okay, cool. All right, and so then I'd hear a turnover, and then I'd have to delegate other players who were actually going into the game. Now, for high school, that makes a lot of sense, but also for you, if you don't have a coach a lot of times in the youth level who is watching who's going into and out of the game, Timmy hasn't played the whole game because Mark, Jesse, and whoever else, they're the good players. They want to get in. They will walk right to the front of the line. They will get in every single time. Now, Hawks is a club. All these kids got it. If you're not a red level team, you got to make sure that everybody's getting in, everyone's getting time. There are certain ways to hide players, but yeah, you can email me for that one. Attack. Hide them and attack. Don't let them play defense. So then directing. Name instruction, off ball. So Jason, spider in, get sideways. Michael, get in hands. Santi, your go. Who's going? Talk. Cade, cut the middle. Ty, shallow cut. Kyle, pick. Then offensive implied with the ball, you got roll away, feet, use your feet, and then straight up and locations, things like that, and how you're actually going to communicate to the players what's going on. Okay. Time we got? All right, 45. I'm not too far past. We're going to 9:30. We got a box session after this. We're all getting out of the box. You guys brought your sticks, right? So what elements? All right, so we got a quiz now. You guys actually have to participate. What elements should we include in practice? Skills, games. How can we build? Someone walk me through building something, anything they want to.
Partner box here. Okay. So you just have to do a quick stick like we were talking about. Yes. You can go to going outside, go to inside, go to face dodge with the scoop, go to split dodge. So you have to catch with one hand, split dodge to the other hand.
Okay. What about like an offense or like a clear or something? How would I build a dodge, follow, float offense if a kid has never seen it before? Perfect. And what else am I building then?
Your defense is out of the same 17 rules. You can send three sides or Jason sides. Whatever it is you're doing.
Exactly. And so within the concepts, what I like to do is I like to use my skill drills where we'll focus intently on the skills we'll use that day. So if we're doing carry shallow cuts where we're always throwing back, we will really focus hard on money passes or question marks. And we will always make them do those skills in those drills all the time. All right, and then we'll build. Any questions? Everyone's like, no, just give me the out of here. If you want to stay and hang out, you can ask anything you want. If you want to email me as well, you can email me. There's tons more stuff on online. I hope you guys at least caught something. I hope you guys like the book. And if you guys need anything, let me know.